Let's get ready to up-level our presentation skills. Hello, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Welcome to the meeting of online presenters of Virtual Toastmasters Club. Our mission, we empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. I'm Sergeant at Arms Sunny Fridge, aka Dr. Sunny. To our guests, a warm welcome. We are thrilled by your interest in our club. If you're interested in joining, you should be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches. However, if you have substantial, relevant presentation experience, we welcome you to apply for membership after you demonstrate your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to approval by our club members. We have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. As a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note, we are recording this meeting. Your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes. However, we are an opt-in club. If you choose not to participate, you may keep your camera off. Remember, please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. Now, please help me welcome to the virtual stage our club president, Joni Laidlaw. Welcome, Joni.
Thank you, Madam Sergeant at Arms Sunny Fridge, for that introduction. It's February. Some people are happy. January is finally over. Some people are happy because their birthdays. Well, in Jamaica, we have a phrase that says encouragement sweetens labor. But before we get him to do the encouragement, we're all going to wish him a happy birthday. Please, everyone, unmute and let's online presenters choir to our Vice President of Education, Graham Carnes, who is celebrating his birthday today for us, yesterday for him. But guess what? I don't think it's late because technically the club is in this time zone. So everybody unmute after 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Graham. Happy birthday to you.
Hooray!
Hooray! There you go. Unfortunately, we can ask, did you have a good birthday? Which you can answer as you come forward to present our achievement awards.
Certainly. Thank you, Madam President. Yes, in fact, I did have an excellent birthday. My daughter has flown out from the United States to spend a couple of weeks with her mum, who, as members will know, started chemotherapy this last week. And so for the first time in 8 years, I had my daughter, my son, my wife and myself all together. And it was really, really nice to have a dinner with my son's fiance at a local Italian restaurant, took photos, all that sort of stuff. So yes, 68 years old. Oh boy, do I feel old. Anyway, yeah, I know, Jim, you've got a few years on me yet. I want to take this opportunity to offer congratulations to one of our members. It's really nice as Vice President of Education when I get to approve each of you as you complete a level in a path, because that's an achievement. But what I really like is when I get to not only acknowledge one of your path levels, but in this case, to acknowledge the completion of an entire path. So will you please join me in congratulating, and I'm hoping you can now see this, the certificate of proficiency given to Kritika Devi Venkataram for successfully completing the entire strategic relations path. So well done, Kritika. And now I'll hand control, if you're finished, Madam President, I'll hand control to our Toastmaster for the day. Is that what you want? That's good. Handing it to the Toastmaster of the day. Here's Dr. Sunny.
That's
And
not the Toastmaster
here's-
of the
Oh, I'm
day. Our
sorry, I'm
Toastmaster
sorry.
of the day. It's fine. Our
Toastmaster of the day,
Toastmaster of the day, who will be taking us through the self-renewal day, is someone who is very physically active and engages in a lot of marathons. No, she is a member of Online Presenters. See, she's doing it. She's getting all. And with the weather that we're having right now and the fact that Punxsutawney Phil said that we're going to have 6 more weeks, I believe that doing this is going to be something that we see a lot through the meeting. But I don't think that's a part of her self-renewal journey. Please help me welcome Sherry Blake to guide us through the meeting.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. And I think we do have some honored guests, right? I can't really tell sometimes who's a guest. So as Toastmaster of the day, my role is to guide the meeting with some clarity, energy, and purpose. And today's theme is Self-Renewal Day. So self-renewal is not about starting over. It's about resetting and refocusing and kind of re-energizing what already exists. It's like, let's say, sharpening a pencil. Renewal always allows voices, ideas, and leadership skills to remain effective. Now, Toastmasters, I think, is built on renewal. Each role taken, each speech delivered, and each evaluation given strengthens our communication and leadership, just one meeting at a time. Now, before we move into the prepared speeches, let's recognize our role players who will help keep this meeting structured, supportive, and on track. We have our tip of the day that will be given by Sunny Fridge, and I'll get back to her later to introduce her. But for now, let's go or move on to our other roles. Let's start with the timer. Our timer for this evening is Allison Blakeman. Allison, can you please explain what your role is?
Yes, ma'am. I am the timer for the meeting, and you can think of me tonight as the game show buzzer, but I'm here to keep things moving fair and fun. So speak with passion, just beat the clock. When you meet the minimum time, I will display a green background. When you're halfway through and almost there, I will display the yellow. When you have completed time and you have 30 seconds left, I will show the red. If you go over time, Zaz will show you her mad face and telling you that you went over time. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Allison. Now, Allison, may I ask that you raise your hand
Yes.
so you're in the left corner, top left corner?
Yep.
So everyone
It is raised.
There you go. We see you. Okay. Now, serving as both odd counter and grammarian. Okay, so I call her Kurthika, but I'm hearing other people call her something else. So, Kurthika, can you just pronounce your name for me and the way you would like it to be pronounced? I know sometimes people go, oh, it doesn't matter. You can call me that, but I want to call you with the right pronunciation. Say your name for me.
Definitely, Toastmaster Sherry Blake. I am Kritika Devi Venkataram. It's a Sanskrit word, Kritika. It's a name of a star as well.
Okay, so that's what I was saying, Kurthika. I heard some people say something a little different. Okay, so I want to introduce Kurthika, and she will explain what her 2 roles are.
As a grammarian, I would like to introduce the word of the day. Before that, I just want to mention one thing. Renewal. Today, we celebrate Self-Renewal Day. Renew thyself every day, forever, again and again, again and again. Do it again and again, forever again. This is an ancient wisdom. As a grammarian, the word of the day is rejuvenate, which I would like you all to use in your communications, in your communication and improve your linguistics. I will self-assess your abilities and bring out the assessment by the end of the meeting, preparing you as a confident speaker and giving you the assessment by the end of the day, by the end of this meeting. As an R counter, again, oh, ah, but, if, so, also. I peeped in. I peeped in as an R counter and as an R counter to bring you the importance of the language skills and communicate with others in a better and forward marching in a confident way. I think, Sherry Blake, I can see only you, not others. Back to you, Toastmaster Sherry Blake.
Thank you so much for that. And I hear an echo. Okay, it stopped. Okay. Our next role is the watcher. Well, that's currently open, or did somebody take that role? Because I had from the agenda that it was open, and I'm trying to see if someone took the role of watcher. No? Oh, there we go. Nope. Oh, okay. So, Andy. Okay. I didn't see it next to your name. So, Andy, can you please explain the role of the watcher?
Okay, it was there before we got disconnected. I had to come back in.
Okay.
Any event, the watcher is an individual that watches everything that everybody does and comments during the evaluation section. Look at individuals in the screens. Are they centered? Are they well lit? Are they able to show their face and have it reflecting? When they give their speeches, can you see their eyes, or is their head buried underneath the screen altogether, so you don't see anything except the top of their head, like Graham's doing right now, demonstrating that. We have other things to look for, but by and large, that's the role of the watcher, to look and comment on how everybody does during the course of the meeting. Back to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Now let's move on to our chat monitor for the evening, and that would be Chatty David Carr. Can you please explain your role?
Yes, I actually have two roles. One is chat monitor, which is to monitor the chat. I always say that one of my roles is to alert the Toastmaster of the day if something is going horribly wrong, or alert whoever can solve the problem at any rate. But more often, it's just to keep track of witty or useful things that are said in the chat, and I'll give a little report at the end of the meeting. Also, I will be counting votes for things that we vote on, including table topics, best speaker, and best evaluator. And I will drop a link in the chat. Guests are welcome to click on that link to vote, and members are encouraged to click on that link to vote, because otherwise I'll just make up whoever I want the winners to be, and you don't want me to do that. Thank you, Toastmaster for the day.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Now we have the Toastmaster of the day, who is Joni Laidlaw. Can you explain to us what table topics master? I'm sorry. Can you explain to us your role for the evening?
Sure. As the table topic master, it's my job to guide us through a session of impromptu speaking. Do you have an elevator pitch? Do you have a problem with answering direct questions, either concisely because you go on and on and on, and sometimes people nod off while you're talking, or you don't speak enough? Well, table topics is the opportunity to speak impromptu. Now, for our guests, if you check the chat, as stated by our Sergeant at Arms, we're an opt-in club. And as such, I want your consent beforehand to pick on you, because it's impromptu. You won't know when I'm going to call on you, but everyone's fair game to get a question. But don't worry, we'll have an advanced member explain or demonstrate what to do before it's your turn. And just to state, Madam Toastmaster of the Day, as it relates to the order of the agenda, our tip of the day was skipped. But back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much, Joni. So that's why, I need you to keep me on track. So now we are going to have our tip of the day that will be delivered by Dr. Sunny. Dr. Sunny, I'm going to turn the virtual stage over to you.
Thank you. By the way, Toastmaster of the Day, was the word of the day mentioned?
Yes, of course. It's rejuvenate. It means
rejuvenate.
you need
Thank
to
you.
make yourself energetic and look fresh again. Rejuvenate with self-care and self-renewal.
I love it. Thank you again for the reminder. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever noticed how your voice sounds when you're tired, when you're rushed, or running on autopilot? Now, imagine this question. What if today, instead of pushing harder, you chose to rejuvenate your voice? As Karthika just mentioned, we can rejuvenate ourselves. And since today is Self-Renewal Day, I want to reinforce what our Toastmaster of the day has said. It is a day to set aside, to pause, to reflect, and intentionally grow. And as presenters, communicators, and leaders, self-renewal isn't a luxury. It's a skill. To rejuvenate means to restore energy, to bring life, new life to something that may feel tired or overused. In public speaking, rejuvenation might look like trying a fresh opening instead of your usual one. Maybe you will slow your pace so your message can breathe, or add vocal variety to wake up words, or raise your hand for a role that stretches you. When I think of stretching, I think of a rubber band. Put in the chat, what are rubber bands used for? What do you use a rubber band for? Would someone go ahead and put that in the chat? I'll go first. Elasticity, okay, and some people play with it. Maybe when you were in school, you played with it, and that's what Andrew Salenko, he just said that he plays with it. Great answer. Let's see. For elasticity, our counter grammarian said that. So good answers. I just wanted to remind you that when you think about using a rubber band, it's really useful when it's stretched. So much like a rubber band, we have to get out of our comfort zone and stretch ourselves. And that's a good way for us to remember that we can rejuvenate. Now, because growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone and it happens when you practice, I have a quote that Oprah Winfrey reminds us. The greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change their future by merely changing their attitude. So today, rejuvenation is choosing the attitude that says, I can grow, I can stretch, I can rejuvenate my voice and my presence. Here's your invitation, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Choose one small way to rejuvenate your speaking. Maybe it's practicing your next talk out loud instead of silently, because after all, you will notice that you sound quite different when you say it out loud. Or you could ask for feedback instead of avoiding it. That's what I love to hear, feedback. The last speech that I gave, I got great feedback by evaluator Paul, and it was really very David, it was really very helpful in doing the speech the next time. And finally, take a deep breath before you speak. I need to remember that. And show up fully present, because the work you do on your voice today rejuvenates your confidence for tomorrow. and it strengthens every meeting, every presentation, and every stage you take. And remember, a mic is just a mic until you speak into it. Rejuvenate. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Sunny. I feel rejuvenated behind that tip. Thank you so much. And it kind of inspired me as well. So I do appreciate it. Now, let's move into the prepared speeches portion of our meeting, where learning, growth, and self-renewal truly comes to life. Our first speaker is Annie Martin. Annie is working in the Dynamic Leadership Path, Level 3, increasing knowledge with a focus on understanding vocal variety. Vocal variety brings emphasis, emotion, and engagement to a message, helping an audience stay connected. The title of Annie's speech is Everybody Needs a Susie. Please help me welcome Annie Martin.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Everybody does need a Susie. By the end of this speech, you will be 100% certain that you too need a Susie. But before I get into what actually a Susie is, I need to defend myself by saying, look, I don't have grandchildren. I don't have a dog, a cat. I don't even have a goanna or anything like that. So really, I have to have a Susie. I have to have something. You're probably a bit curious as to what a Susie is and how I came by my Susie. I'll tell you how I came by her. It was the middle of the night and I was asleep. Apropos of nothing, I woke up my partner and said, I have to have a ventriloquist doll. He said, go back to sleep. I said, I'm going downstairs on Amazon.com. Now, for the Australians, it's Amazon.com.au. It doesn't matter. I was on Amazon Googling frantically for my very first ventriloquist doll. And that is where I first saw Susie. A disclaimer, she really looks a lot more like a Muppet doll. However, since acquiring Susie about 5 years ago, I have got a little bit further into ventriloquism and I do have a real doll, but I'm not talking about a real doll tonight. I'm talking about Susie because of the very special place that Susie has in my heart. Now, why you all need a Susie is because you never know where she might lead other people in your life. I mentioned my partner. Now, my partner's son has quite significant autism. He's 22, but every single day of his life, he has to speak to Susie, even if it's on the phone, complaining about his world, or telling Susie things that he would never tell me and never tell his dad, despite the fact that we're right there. So Susie has superpowers. When my dad was really sick, and here's the important part here, he did not have dementia, but he was very, very sick, and Susie would light up his world as she lit up the hospital ward. I've also spent most of my career in special education, teaching children with special needs, and if only I knew then what I know now is the power of puppetry. The power of a little young person that, well, we all know the success of the Muppets and Sesame Street. What am I saying to you people? So that's why you need a Susie. You never know how she will affect other people. The second reason you need a Susie is because you never know what's going to come out of your own mouth. You don't know what she's going to say, you're going to say. And how good is this for Toastmasters? Well, look, we either need to know exactly what's going to come out of our mouth as in a prepared speech, or have no idea what's going to come out of our mouth, as in a table topic, and you never know. And oh, sorry, she's here. I think the game's up. I think it's time that you met Susie. Just give me 1 second. You're about to see something that you may not have seen before in a Toastmasters meeting. Hello. Oh, look at you, and you, and you, and you. Joni, where's Joni? Susie, you like Joni? Yeah, Joni's from Jamaica. Yes, she is from Jamaica. Yeah, I want to go and see her. Well, you've told me you don't like being on an aeroplane. No, that was really sad. Yeah, that's another story. That's a whole speech, isn't it? Yeah, I given a speech at Toastmasters. Yes, and you like to tell people that. Yeah, I won a medal. Look, a Toastmaster. I won a competition. Yes, Susie, you did win a competition. Yeah, it was humorous. Yes, you. It would be, and you were quite funny in your way. Yeah, I was really funny. I want to say something. What's that? You always want to say something. Yeah, well, I sometimes say and ah. You do. Yeah. Oh, well, I'm only 6. You are only 6, yes, so you might get better. Yeah, I'm too young to join Toastmasters anyway. Yeah, yes, you are a little bit young, but if you hang in there for another 12 years, you might be able to join. Yeah, okay. Well, soon I should go soon. Well, probably because you've sort of jumped in a bit to this speech. Yeah, but I wanted to say hello to India, to America, to UK, to Jamaica, and everybody, and say bye. But that's Susie. Everybody does need a Susie, and the main reason really why you need a Susie is because, well, I'm thinking of this quote from Man of La Mancha, and it says, too much sanity may be madness. And that is where we have to go, well, let's ditch this sanity at times. The world's not always sane. Let's embrace that, having fun, rejuvenate every day, just like a young child would, just like a young 6-year-old Susie. So fellow Toastmasters, wherever you are in the world, you do need a Susie, because you never know the reach she might have for other people. You never know what might come out of your mouth. And because, always remember, it's most important at all that we just have fun. Therefore, you all need a Susie. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. I have to go out and find my Susie. That was a great speech. I really enjoyed it. Very creative. Our second speaker is Graham Carnes. Graham is working in the Engaging Humor Path Level 2, learning your style with objective and connecting up learning your style with the objective of connecting with the audience through humor and authenticity. The title of Graham's speech is Why I Like Paying Taxes. Now, in this speech, Graham will explain why paying taxes can actually be a good thing and how to sweeten the sting when the tax bill arrives. This is a unique presentation as Graham will be recording the speech at home and will also evaluate the speech personally, reminding us that self-renewal often begins with thoughtful reflection. Please join me in welcoming Graham Carnes.
Toastmaster friends, as his home erupted in flames, Publius Citizenia could only bury his head in his hands and think, why? When the slaves of Marcus Licinius Crassus had come around just a few months earlier, he'd been given the opportunity to take out fire insurance. And if he had, some of the 500 firefighters in Crassus's fire brigade would now be dousing the flames of his house. But instead, Publius could only watch his house burn. And then another of Crassus' slaves approached him with an offer to buy what was left of the property for just 1/10 of its value. He reluctantly agreed because otherwise he would be left with nothing. Then, and only then, the firefighting slaves rushed into action, quelling the blaze, protecting the property, because that property now belonged to a new owner, one of the richest real estate moguls in ancient Rome. But where were the official firefighters for the city? Well, there were none, because taxes didn't work that way. Let's jump forward a couple of thousand years to the 21st century and to the town of Salinas, California. There, local politicians running on a lower tax platform have won the day, and lower taxes they do. So services have to be cut. Services like public libraries. Yes, Salinas, California, the hometown of great American novelist John Steinbeck, has closed its libraries because it can no longer afford to keep them open. Staying in North America, my daughter, who is a US citizen and has lived and worked in the US for more than a quarter of her life, had gallbladder surgery. And 4 years later, she was still paying for it despite having privately funded health insurance. Whereas her mother, my wife Shirley, has over the past few years had breast cancer chemotherapy, then surgery, then a hysterectomy, other surgery as well. And even though we've had the procedures done in a private hospital because we have private health insurance, we could have had it done at no cost in a world-class public health system. The difference? Well, given the title of my story today, it'll come as no great surprise that the difference is taxes. As I started researching this presentation, I came across, must have been a squillion blog posts and articles and editorial comments that could all be summed up by the opening sentence of an article on living in countries with low income taxes. The article started with, "No one wants huge chunks of their income being confiscated by the taxman." And that's true. Nobody does. I'm sure you don't. And I freely admit that despite the title of this speech, I actually don't want huge chunks of my income taken in tax. But you know something? I also don't want to have to take metformin for my diabetes or rosuvastatin for my cholesterol. I don't want to have to get my house painted every couple of decades. I don't want to do the laundry once a week. I don't want to do a whole lot of things, but I accept them because I don't want the alternatives even more. If I don't take my medications, for example, then I risk circulation problems, potentially gangrene, I risk blindness, I risk heart attack, I risk death. If I don't paint the house, then the timbers are no longer being protected from the weather and the value of my home declines appreciably. If I don't do the laundry, well, yeah, just be glad that this is an online meeting. Taxes are the same. I don't want to pay them, and yet I don't want the alternative even more. Some of you may know that I'm involved in multiple Toastmasters clubs, mostly as a member, although I have also been a coach of one club. And I was catching a bus into the city where that club meets in a library meeting room. A library, by the way, that is funded by taxes, in this case by local government property rates. I was on a bus, subsidised by taxes, both local and state-based. I don't actually have to pay for the journey because I get a small pension from the federal government. Again, that comes from tax revenue. That makes me eligible for free public transport in off-peak hours. But anyway, I'm on the bus and the roads I was travelling on were well paved and well maintained, construction and maintenance costs being funded by taxation, when an ambulance, and ambulance services are funded by state taxes where I live, it rushed past me with its lights flashing and its sirens blaring. That meant that somebody seriously ill was being transported to the local hospital, which is funded by, you guessed it, tax revenue. Notice a theme here? Yes, I would sometimes prefer that my tax dollars were reallocated, perhaps less on defence, for example, and more on public housing, but that's a matter of degree rather than a blanket, I want to pay less tax. Because I'm reminded of a time not all that long ago when the tax that I paid as a senior journalist was about the same amount as the entire income of an unskilled relative. I paid about a third of my income in taxes so that he and his family could thrive and survive and get ahead. And I have no regrets about that. I like living in a society where there is a social security welfare net to prevent people from starving while others have plenty. I like living in a society where roads and infrastructure and transport systems and hospitals and schools and libraries and lots more are paid for by everyone, from each, as Saint-Simonist put it, from each according to their ability, to each according to their needs. But that's not why, as the title of my speech says, I like paying taxes. The why? I live about 500 metres from a fire station, and a couple of times a day at least, I hear the fire engines racing away to save somebody's home, to save somebody's business, to save somebody's life. And unlike the case of the unfortunate Publius Citizenia, who I spoke about at the beginning of this presentation, this isn't going to be some sort of shady shakedown when they get there. It will be a community working together for the public good, all being paid for by my taxes. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much for that wonderful speech. I really enjoyed that speech as well. One thing I like about Toastmasters is because we learn a lot. We get to hear a speech on a topic that maybe we didn't think that we would hear about. So that's one thing I like about Toastmasters. As we continue through the meeting, may this time together serve as a reset and an opportunity to pause, reflect, and move forward with renewed energy and intention. So let's continue our journey of self-renewal. Next is our table topics master, Joni Laidlaw. Joni, the virtual stage is all yours.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Now, our meeting theme today is Self-Renewal Day. Now, Self-Renewal Day is celebrated every year in the United States on February 2nd. The aim is to help more people improve themselves and enhance their skills. Today, we're going to rejuvenate with focus on Self-Renewal Day. Now, just to go back over, our timing for table topics is as follows. You will see the green card. Allison, show the green. At 1 minute, you will see the yellow card, 1 minute and 30 seconds, and you will see the red card at 2 minutes. You have 30 seconds basically to wrap up and speak until you at least see the green card and stop when you see the red card. Now we're here to rejuvenate our thinking skills and our ability to think on our feet. I have a couple of guests who agreed to do table topics, but in Toastmasters, we're learned by doing, so we always provide an example. So I'm going to start off with a seasoned Toastmaster. And I'm going to ask, what is one belief you held 5 years ago that you have since abandoned? And that's going to go to Andrei Smolenko.
I'm sorry, Madam Table Topics Master. If you could repeat the question, please.
What is one belief you held 5 years ago that you have since abandoned?
Oh, certainly. One of the number of beliefs that I could probably talk about, not only one. Belief number one that I had 5 years ago, that any happy relationship would last forever. That belief, it didn't come true. And after that realization that not necessarily any happy relationship lasts forever, I decided to change it. If it doesn't last forever, so be it. Belief number two that I had, that you got to have positive beliefs, which is not true. Today, you can wake up I could wake up in a good mood and look, today is my day. I'm going to make all things happen. What's in my diary, full of energy, full of charisma, and go and get it. However, during the day, things can change. And if I continue being upset with my previous belief, it just doesn't help me to get through the day. So I decided to change it into variable beliefs. Why not? Some people have a clear idea that something that you believe in has got to stay. It's almost like a mission statement for life. To me, it's more about day-to-day little beliefs that make my life and people who surround me life a bit better. And if they don't work, I think they should be changed. 5 years ago, of course, I was a very different person. I had more hair. I probably much more younger. At the same time, with the 5 years of growing up, and as my daughter recently called me, having that silver fox look, oh yes, I start taking more advantages of all those beliefs that can be changed. And if they can, why not? Just give it a go. Back to you, Madam Table Topics answer. Table Topics.
Thank
yeah.
you. And I agree. I'm not an optimist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm actually a realist. So I like your take on that. The next table topic question is, what do you plan to do to improve or enhance your skills? And this is going to go to our guest, Duarte Castillo. Hope I got that right.
Duarte, yes. That's good enough. Yes. So thank you, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome, most estimated guests, myself included. What would I do to improve my skill set in a nutshell? Yes, for the following years. Well, one of my main goals is to move to the United States of America to be able to work in information technology and specifically cybersecurity. So this skill set, this area, this field of work of mine is very important to me. It's one of the main purposes of my life to protect the digital world. And as such, I believe I need to spread the word. I need to spread the message. One of my goals is to learn how to do better public speaking so I can create content online to present my skills, my knowledge, but also to spread this message of protecting the digital world. The other measure that I've taken into consideration is definitely to improve the knowledge of this skill set. So I decided that I will have to study again, either by certifications on one hand, either by education, higher degree on the other hand. and finally, last but not least, someone also said in this evening or in this session, because here is 2 a.m. The other measure that I have to take into consideration is definitely to explore more the digital world. Yes, because there is a large community out there of people who have the same purpose. So I need to get out of Poland and go to other places in the world to meet other professionals with the same intention. I would believe that is what I have to do to better my skill set. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master. Thank you.
Well, let's hope you get to rejuvenate as it relates to your education and also get the opportunity to follow your dreams of working in IT in America. Thank you for being a part of our table topics. Excellent, excellent job. The next table topic question that I have is, when did you last try something new? And I'm going to ask our guest Ivy to take that one.
Hi, firstly, thank you everyone for the great session. When was the last time that I tried something new? Well, I have the answer actually. I tried two new things recently, in the hope of rejuvenating myself and changing a little bit of my daily routine. Firstly, I bought a piano and started learning the piano. So it's been like just 1 week that I bought it. I'm super excited. I'm trying to practice every day. I'm not gonna be a great piano player or a great musician or anything like that because I have no knowledge on it. So I'm like from zero. But I hope that I can add to my knowledge and basically improve different skills of mine. Another new skill, not a skill, new experiment that I had was that last weekend I actually went into a terrarium making workshop. And for the first time in my life, I made a small terrarium, which was amazing because you are building life itself. You're adding soil, plants, gravel, everything, and you're creating this a small ecosystem that can live on its own. And that's so satisfying because I live in an apartment and I brought in a small part of nature. And I have to say, having nature inside, that also helps me rejuvenate and feel fresh every day whenever I look at it because of all the colors, because of the smell of the soil, and just the feeling that nature is changing, so I can change and I can get better every day. Thanks. Back to you, table topic, madam.
Thank you, Ivy. I do agree that being in and around nature does rejuvenate us. And I'm hoping you'll be back to give us an extended speech with pictures so we can get to see it because that sounds really, really fascinating. So, my next question is, how do you avoid rigidity and stay open to new experiences? And I'm going to ask our guest, Shun Chin Lee, to take that one.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you, Madam Table Topic Masters. Can you repeat the questions? You mute yourself.
The most said phrase online, you're muted. How do you avoid rigidity and stay open to new experiences?
That's the right question to my situation. I didn't turn on my video, kind of pick on me. But I think I know eventually it turns out I was a Toastmaster member 2 years ago. So today's word of day talk about rejuvenating. I think applied to my situation just quite right. I really feel very refreshing, particularly the first speaker with her ventriloquist with throwing the sushi. Really refreshing. Today is super cold where I was in, and it just changed my perspective about this online community. I think a lot of charisma, a lot of enthusiasm, and I can see a lot of confident speakers on this virtual platform. I'm so excited and able to share and hear your stories. Just my mind is just blown away by your confidence and your capabilities really elevate me. Or maybe someday, maybe I'm able to become part of this larger group. And I think of kind of go back to the rejuvenating in one aspect for our life, our health relationship. I think this online community really could help me in some way to bring me back to Toastmaster community once again. And thank you for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to share my thought with all of you. Back to you, Madam Table Topic Master.
Thank you for that new experience of hearing you speak to us for the first time. And I agree, keeping an open mind because you never know the new people you will meet. Susie was a good one for today, and I agree, as well as all of us here. And it was very nice having you and hearing your perspective. So, my last question is going to be one that I'm going to just ask for a volunteer because anybody can be fair game. So, who wants to volunteer for this question? Any volunteers? Raise your hand. Okay, Dr. Andrew Byrne. The question, or our final question, is what distinguishes living from merely existing? What distinguishes living from merely existing?
Thank you very much, Table Topics Master. The difference between living versus existing has to do with many factors. First, it has to do with your mindset. Are you happy with your current state? Are you being okay with your nutrition, with your housing, with your shelter? Or do none of those things have a factor in your daily living? Do you have someone to confide in, someone to share your life with, someone to be happy with? If not, sense of loneliness can be overpowering, leading to depression and suicide. So there are many factors that lead to the answer to this question. It's not a singular kind of a situation. It has to do with what factors are affecting you personally, what factors are forecast in your own mind for your future. If you have a future and you have something that you're shooting for, you're going to be much better able to deal with whatever the circumstances are with your life than if you have no hope. Hope makes a difference. Hope and faith are two sides of the coin that help you get through any kind of adversity. So with that, Toastmaster of the Day, I think that is the answer that you're seeking.
Thank you for that, Andy. And it reminds me that when Pandora opened the box to let out all the troubles, the thing that was left at the bottom of the box was hope. You can take from that what you will, but in your case, you found hope in the fact that hope was there. So what have we learned from Table Topics? Basically, no matter what your dream is, if it's to work in IT or to be close to nature and have it as a reminder, as a way of rejuvenating, finding new experiences, meeting new people, even if they are the animated kind, we all know Muppets are awesome. Learning to remember to unmute. It's the most said phrase here. Overall, with our interactions and our changes, there are any number of ways that you can rejuvenate. With that, I now return control of the virtual space to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much for those rejuvenating questions. And I want to thank our guests for participating. This is great. I love to see us give the virtual stage to our guests during Table Topics. So thank you for that. And you all gave fantastic answers. Okay, so we're going to move on to our evaluation portion of the meeting. But I also, before I do that, I would like to make one correction to Graham's introduction. He will not be evaluating his own speech. Andre is going to evaluate him. And I think I did not mention that during his introduction. So I wanted to make that correction. So let's now welcome our general evaluator, Graham Carnes, to the virtual stage. Graham.
I believe the general evaluator is... It was
me.
Jim Barber.
Yes. That's quite all right. We get mistaken all the time. So yes.
Sorry, Jim Barber.
I'm working at developing an Australian accent. It's going to take a little bit of work. Thank you, Madam. That's all right. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. My fellow Toastmasters, our most welcome guests, and of course, especially Susie, wherever she got to. This is the evaluation portion of the meeting where we provide our prepared presenters with valuable and expert feedback on their presentations. So let's get right into it. Our first presenter this evening was Annie Martin. Actually, it was Annie Martin and Susie. And we're evaluating the pair of Annie and Susie is going to be the one and only Marianne Grady. So Marianne, take it away.
Why, good evening, my friends, and good evening, Annie and Susie. Your speech was both heartfelt and delightfully unexpected. You were masterful at building our curiosity. It took several seconds for us to really figure out who Susie was because you just were building. You changed position and the voice for the characters. Then, when you picked up Susie, it was obvious to us all how endearing she could be. We understood why people were entertained by her, and we were fascinated about your son finding a friend in Susie. You blended humor and heart beautifully. Susie wasn't just a prop. She was a bridge into a very personal story. You used fantastic vocal variety and character differentiation. Susie helped you create dialogue and pacing, and you were very effective using storytelling to connect with the audience. I honestly don't have suggestions for improvement, but something to think about that I thought might add another a layer of engagement would be to use a little music at the beginning. Like there's a lot of songs with Susie in it. So like it might be like if you know Susie, like I know Susie, something like that, just to, change it up a little bit. But I thank you so much for rejuvenating our spirit and making us all smile. Looking forward to your next speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. All right. Our second speaker, or third, depending upon how you count it, speaker this evening was Graham Cairns, speaking to us from tomorrow. As our Toastmaster just explained a few moments ago, evaluating Graham's presentation will be our own Andre Smolinko. So, Andre, take it away.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator, my fellow line presenters, guest, and most importantly, Graham. Why I like paying taxes? What a provocative title for the speech. I think you delivered incredibly polished speech in your mastering engaging humor level 3, learning your style. The purpose of your speech was connecting with the audience on a subject that is unknown to them. However, with your polished style and, in my view, immaculate presentation, taken from all the way 100 years ago and then moving into these days, your personal story and why you think it's important to pay the right amounts of taxes. All that flooded so nicely that I can hardly find anything to improve. At the same time, you are refined, great speaker. You even wanted to give evaluation to your own speech at the end of it, before I came in. I could see the ending of the speech was really powerful. To me, it helped me to understand that really paying taxes is not for the sake of it. Nobody likes to do it. But thinking about alternative, what would be if we didn't, that makes people pay their taxes as well. And the powerful conclusion about communities working together, the communities providing service for the people who really need that. That's quite a statement. At the same time, few things I dare to mention that I could improve. Thing number one, because it's in trying to engage with audience, perhaps asking audience a number of questions, giving the audience some food to think about during your presentation and making pauses, letting us process the great importance of your speech. And recommendation number 2 would be probably adding more humor, since the project is about trying to develop your sense of humor that I'm sure you have. Just maybe telling a story about tax avoidance, those companies who avoid paying taxes in hundreds of millions, and how a single person could make a difference. Just making jokes about that. And overall, I've learned a lesson that perhaps we should all consider trying not to avoid paying taxes, but create a better society, better communities by openly giving some of our money to people who need that. That will return trifold at the end of it for us. Overall, a great speech with a bit more sense of humor next time, please. Thank you, Graham. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Andre. All right. Madam Timer, as our game show buzzer tonight, how did our evaluators do? Was everyone within time?
Everyone was within time.
Everyone was within time. Wonderful. When you get the opportunity, I think it just came up, please vote for the better evaluator in your opinion of this evening. And while you are doing that, I'm going to call on our team of supporters for our meeting tonight. Let's start with our stalker, Andy Byrne. You were the watcher this evening. Could you please briefly explain what you saw? You are muted.
We have grown a great deal since 2017 when we first started the club and first became aware of Zoom or Ring Central when we started. If you notice, virtually every screen is well lit up. The faces of everybody are well displayed. People, as they go through the meeting, somewhat get tired, I guess, because they go from a screen to like this, and they're almost underneath the table or falling asleep. We haven't heard any crashes or people falling out of their chairs, but certainly like Graham's camera might be placed differently because he really gets the top of his head and he's facing down a good portion. Same thing with Duarte is down. But virtually everybody else is mid-screen, well lit up. You can see their facial expressions. Everyone did a good job.
Thank you, Andy. All right. Chatty David Carr, you were our chat monitor this evening. What went on in the chat?
Lots of stuff. Andy, as usual, posted about 30 inspirational posters and other tips. So you can go back and review that. It is possible to save the chat if you're looking for any of those links or comments for later. You go to the 3 dots menu in the chat and choose save. Mostly other was a lot of appreciation for Susie and for Annie. So, and general encouragement was had by all. We all did also learn that Duarte found his way here by Googling, which I will take credit for as the SEO guru here. And that's it.
That's wonderful. Great. Thank you, Dave. Alrighty. Our next supporting member, Kirtika, was both our grammar police and the Wizard of Oz. So Kirtika, in both capacities, what did you hear tonight?
Thank you, Jim Barber. I'm scared of the word police. Okay, let's get into our business. As we started during the starting of this meeting, renew yourself. Renew thyself completely each day. Do it again and again and forever again. As an accountant and grammarian, I can find good usage of words from our speakers and our evaluators. Let me start with the usage of crutch words. Cherry used use and so, now, and okay repeatedly. Alison Blakeman, there isn't a fault in her speech. Jim Barber, usage of starker, maybe good or bad. It depends on the persuasive skill and perception of the observer. Andrew used hope and faith. Andrew used hope and faith as words. And now let me get into the best words or the best usage of words by the speakers as well as the evaluators. For Annie, you never know what's going to come out of your own mouth. She has suggested this intentionally and unintentional redundancy to emphasize points. So the improvement area could be like removing the repetition of and refine her speech, tightening the speech structure again. For Graham, for the title of the speech, Why I Like Paying Taxes. Now, well, so, but, and like. There requires a balanced conversational and professional tone. While humor worked well, reducing the casual fillers like well, could have been avoided. The best usage or good usage of words are from Marian Grady's, mentioning heartfelt and delightful, layer of engagement, and Andrew mentioning hope and faith or two sides of the coins, Andrew Smellingo mentioning provocative title, polished style, refined, and he may also avoid repeating really as a word, really as a repeated word. Yoni has mentioned Pandora box is open. You can take whatever you have to. Now, so basically, and you and no are repeated by Yoni, which might be avoided during her speech. On an overall, we had a good meeting and we had good level of engagement during our conversation. The equilibrium point is reached, strengthening our skills and strengthening our conversation to become a confident speaker. Over to you, Jim.
Great. Thank you so much, Kirthika. Okay, it is time for my evaluation of the meeting. What can I say? Online Presenters is a collection of experienced Toastmasters, but what really brings us together is our shared commitment to improving our presentation skills, especially our online, on-camera presentation skills. So that is what makes the quality of the club outstanding. I have one small suggestion. Actually, it doesn't really apply so much tonight, but I've noticed on other meetings that occasionally it can happen. We carefully time most segments of the meeting. We time our table topics responses, we time our speeches, and we don't necessarily time other parts of the meeting. That doesn't mean that brevity is not important at those times as well. When sometimes, occasionally, someone will grab the microphone, so to speak, and not want to let it go, it delays the meeting and frankly, you're robbing other people of the opportunity to speak. So I would just ask everybody, whether you're being timed or not, be cognizant of the timing of what's going on. And consequently, since I know we want to end in another 5 minutes, I'm going to stop what I'm doing right now. I'm going to instead ask our vote counter this evening, David F. Carr. Have you had the opportunity to tally the votes?
I have indeed.
Would you please then tell us
take a look at
not keep us in suspenders what happened?
All right, hitch up your suspenders. Here we go. Table topics. Da-da-da-da-da. It goes to Ivy. There was a tie, but I broke the tie, and the guest wins the tie. Evaluator. Andrei Smolenko. I actually got to edit this one. Usually I just have to leave it at Jim Barber, but he's not doing that role tonight. So anyway. And best speaker of the evening. Very competitive, but Annie. And I guess Susie by extension. Congratulations all, and thank you for blessing us with these speeches.
Thank you for counting the ballots so superbly, Dave. Appreciate that. All right, that concludes our evaluation portion of the meeting. We have one more major thing to do at the end of the meeting, but for that, I'm going to return control to our Toastmaster of the day, Sherry Blake, and she can close us out. Sherry, take it away.
Thank you so much. Well, this has been a great meeting. And just remember that self-renewal does not always require big changes, right? Sometimes it shows up as a new insight or just the courage to try something different. Today's speakers, role holders, and participants each contributed to that process through their preparation and participation. I thank you so much, and I want to turn the meeting back over to our president, Joni Laylaw.
Thank you so much for that great meeting, everyone. I will be adjourning the meeting, but I'm going to ask our guests to stay on because we do want your comments. So one moment, let me go ahead and stop the recording.